How do you follow up my favorite book in the Dresden Files series yet? Well, I mean, you go behind the scenes of a porn movie. Duh. Hey, what's up, bookworms and Dresden fans? Mike back with another Dresden Files review. This time we are talking about the sixth adventure for Harry Dresden. That would be Blood Rites. Now, guys, if you don't know, I had super high expectations for this book because Death Mask, Books 5, was amazing. It was everything that I had wanted of the series so far. The bar was raised. And did it happen? We're going to talk about it. But guys, if you do not know, at this point, I don't do non-spoiler videos when I'm in book number 6 of a 15-book series. So if you are looking for non-spoiler videos, you can check out, I did reviews for the first 2 in this series. I did those non-spoiler to kind of give you a hook of if you should read this series or not. And I think that's a good place to start if you want to know if you should read this series or not. I feel like if it's book 6 in a 15-book series, if you're not in by now, you're probably not in. So I don't feel like you need me to sell that to you. So this will be a full spoiler review for book 6, and there will be spoilers probably that could pop up from books 1 through 5 in this as well. So if you haven't read up through Blood Rites yet, I'd probably bookmark this video, come back to it after you read it, because I'll tell you, yes, you should be reading this series. I talked about why I decided to read the series, but I think that everyone has their own kind of reasons for it. I've said repeatedly that this makes me think of Buffy and Angel, 2 of my favorite TV series of all time, and it continues that trend here, just with some new things, some new little twists, however. So spoiler warning over. I'm just going to get right into this book now, and the book kicks off with Harry carrying a box of puppies, running away from some monkey demons that are throwing flaming shit at him. So right off the bat, like, okay, Butcher ain't wasting any time getting crazy this go around. But it's just those kind of things, I think, that give this series its charm, really, because it's just so over the top in places, and it doesn't care. It doesn't care, and I think that's, Butcher just embraces it. I think that's what makes this series so fun. But we see that Harry is now working with Thomas Wraith. If you don't remember from Grave Peril, he also was in Death Mask. He is from the White Court. And the White Court is kind of viewed, kind of looked down upon by a lot of the other vampires, but Thomas Wraith is actually kind of looked down by on his own family. He's like the least favorite child. And this book kind of starts to explore these things. So right off the bat, a lot of people had warned me, you know what, this is the last not great book in the series. I think that's how it was advertised to me as. Like I said, I think when you're going to be following up a really just well-received book like Death Mask was, it was tough. It was tough. But everybody tells me that this is kind of the calm before Deadbeat kicks in. That's when the series, to this day, still has not let up. But anyways, I am on the board right away because I've been wanting to know more about Thomas from, the 3rd book now. So now I'm actually going to get it. I'm okay. And Thomas asks Harry to investigate the troubles of a friend of his is having. And we also learn little things like the Black Court vampires. They are what is referred to as Stoker vampires, which is the rules that Bram Stoker set in place. Garlic, holy water, crosses, all that kind of thing. He uses like a holy water balloon and kills a Black Court vampire and stuff. And it gives us some nice little info dump on Mavra, if you want to remember who she was from the 3rd book, Grave Peril. So I know right off the bat, okay, we're going to be seeing Mavra again. I don't think that Butcher does this a lot, of kind of like recapping in case you don't remember. But I feel like he does it in a way where it's not like annoying. This isn't like Wheel of Time where you're telling me the difference between Sidar and Sidene for the 9th straight book. I know that at this point. So it isn't anything like that. It just kind of, hey, just by the way, in case you don't miss, and some of these still kind of feel like they could be standalone, maybe. I feel like this is the point where they kind of start to feel like, okay, you need to have read the other books to start to get some of these things. But I'm digressing here. Let's talk about Harry returns the puppies, but one hides underneath the seat, and he's stuck with it. He's stuck with this puppy, right? So it's kind of adorable that this whole book, Harry is, doing his thing with a little puppy in his pocket of his duster. So, I mean, it's just, that's the kind of thing that makes me wish that this would get adapted to TV faithfully one day. And as I say faithfully, because if you watch that TV series, you know what I mean. A faithful adaptation of this, because I would pay to see Harry with a puppy in his pocket while he's fighting demons. That's just That's the content that I'm here for, right? And this puppy, he keeps on trying to pawn it off on people, and the whole time you're just like, are you sure you want to get rid of this puppy? Because you don't sound like you really, really do. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. So Thomas's friend is a porn director named Arturo Genosa, and he has 3 ex-wives. He fears a curse, and he hires Harry to protect the cast and the crew. So there's your case set up for this one. But we get a lot of returns in this book. You get also from Grey Pearl, you get a return of Justine. That was Thomas's girlfriend in that. She is human, but she is she's in love with Thomas, who is very charming, apparently. Vampires always are going to have that glamour, that charm, or whatever. But this is the first time Harry actually sees a White Court vampire use their powers. He sees Thomas use his power on her, which is, Bob explains it later, that how the White Court vampires work is they essentially feed on a victim's spirit. They don't actually bite them. They don't drink their blood or anything like that. So they feed on someone's mind and their spirit. And Harry sees this happening with Justine. He does not like it one effing bit. And him and Thomas almost kind of come to blows over it. But that's just kind of, setting up something that's going to happen a little later. But Harry decides it's time to take out these other Black Court vampires that attacked him. And he asks Murphy if she will help. And I will say, for the 3rd straight book, I'm liking this friendship that is developing between Karen and Harry. I didn't like it in the first 3 books so much, but the last 3, I feel like they've really developed this friendship. And this is the first time there is some inclinations of maybe a romance in the future, which I feel like it will inevitably get to. I've said that I don't want that, but it's not like I would be like angry about it if it happened. If it's natural, if it comes organically, like it looks like it could at this point, 4 or 5 books from now, okay, I'd be okay with it. If him and Susan are really done, hey, why not? Why not? Hey man, Harry's got needs. Karen's got needs. You know what? Hey, you both are working in the same kind of mess. Why not? But he goes to like this family barbecue with her, and you get like a whole subplot about her sister marrying her ex-husband and things like that. So it's some nice character development, and you getting to see a little bit more of the personal life of Murphy and seeing why she's the way that she is, and it makes a lot of sense. So I'm okay with it. Those are the kind of side things in these books that I like. The kind of things that I don't like. And this is going to be my first real major criticism of this book, is that the case in this one did not hold much interest for me. So that's why I'm kind of glazing over it. And to prove how meaningless the case is in this one, I'm really not even going to talk about it and show you that the story doesn't change a lot. I know that this is Dresden Files, so you have to have a case in each one. But I feel like everything that happens outside of the case in this is what keeps this book from not being good. There are some really, really great, just game-changing scenes in this book. Unfortunately, none of them come with the case. So, like I said, I'm not going to really talk about it much more. The important part is that this book introduces all of the Wraiths. So you get to meet Lord Wraith for the first time. You get to meet Thomas's 2 sisters, Inari, which is a succubus, and Lara, which obviously is full vampire. And it's good stuff. It really is getting to see a little bit more of these workings, and that's really the best stuff. And later on, when Harry and Thomas are having a scuffle because he thinks Thomas isn't being straight with him, Laura comes to break it up, and she actually attempts to shoot Harry, but she shoots Thomas instead, and they're attacked by the Black Court vampires, and they fight them off. So they all retreat to Wraith Manor because Thomas is on the edge of death, and if he doesn't feed, he's going to be taken to... sorry, I didn't talk about... He actually had to use a lot of his leftover power to fight off these black vampires or Black Court vampires. I think Harry calls them blampires. That's great. For Black Court vampires. And, again, the terminology that Butcher uses in these books, it's kind of, like I said, that adds to the charm of what I love about it. Is, I love Bram Stoker's Dracula. I think it's an incredible story. It set the groundwork for all vampire stories after it. And if you don't know, there's a character in there named Renfield, which is basically the glamoured human servant of Dracula. And so in this book, all of the human servants of these vampires, he refers to them as Renfields. He just makes that a verb. It's awesome. I love it. So now I will never not call those people a Renfield. I think it's fantastic. It's not incredibly original, but it's awesome. I love it. And Blampires, I'm behind that. So so Thomas has to use a lot of his power to fight off these Blampires, and so he's on the edge of death unless he feeds. And they're taken to Wraith Manor. Lara promises him protection while he's there, even though Lord Wraith shows up, knows who Harry is, knows everything about him, seems very, very interested in him. And Harry's kind of surprised about this. Why does he know so much about him? And it has a good payoff. I'm going to put it that way. So we learned that Justine is going to allow Thomas to feed off her. Obviously, she loves him, and she's willing to lay down her life for him. And Harry obviously is not happy about this, but it's not his choice. It's not his choice. It's Justine's choice, and she seems to be happy to do it. So after Thomas recovers, he comes to talk to Harry, and this is the bombshell that saves this book for me. Okay, because this is a huge moment, but it is earned. You like to start to feel like stuff like this is, when you start getting to like familiar relationships and stuff, it starts getting a little cliched. Earned. This is earned. I appreciated this so much. But Thomas shows Harry these portraits of these women who Lord Wraith has had children with. And one of them turns out to be Margaret Gwendolen Le Fay. If you don't know, that is the AKA of Maggie Dresden. So, yeah, Harry and Thomas are related, half brothers. So, of course, Harry, does what anybody does. He refuses to believe it. And then Thomas shows him he's got an identical pentagram necklace pendant, just like Harry does. And to prove it to him, Harry offers to let him soul gaze. And Harry basically gets to meet his mother for the first time. She's like stored in his memory. And she confirms it's true that they're half brothers and that they're going to need to help one another. And it's just a super, super touching scene. It really is everything you would want it to be. And I talked in Death Mask about, I don't know if it's that Butcher's becoming a better writer, if I'm just getting more emotionally invested in these characters, or what. But this is the second book in a row where I feel like it's fun and games. You're having a hoot. You're just laughing. You're having a good time. You're not taking anything crazy seriously. But then these emotional beats happen, and it hits you right here. And I feel like he definitely lands that again. So I keep using the word earned. I feel like that is definitely something the Butcher does well. He makes these big moments matter. The wisecracks and the levity and stuff are always still there. But when it gets serious, it never doesn't feel like it's got that weight behind it. So, again, I feel like that is the scene that saved this book. Because, again, the case, not interested. The black court stuff, the white court stuff, super interesting to me. So, that, thankfully, is the majority of the book. But, so we're back on the black court mission. Harry brings in Ebenezer. As you remember from previous books, he's the one who helped raise Harry after the whole Justin event. And then Kincaid comes back. He was with Ivy before. And, obviously this dude is a mercenary for hire. And, hey, he's going to bring him in as long as he gets paid. But apparently these two, Ebenezer and Kincaid, they have a past. And they try to kill each other on sight. And basically Harry stops and they make a temporary truce for Harry's sake. But Kincaid refers to Ebenezer as Blackstaff. So, right up there. Okay, that's interesting. That don't sound nice. That is just like Gandalf the White or something there. That sounds kind of sinister. So yeah, all right. I'm interested in learning a little bit more about this fella. But they're able to kill the Black Court vampires, and they save a bunch of prisoners, and they presumably behead Mavra, but it's insinuated later that it was probably a decoy because Mavra would not be able to be defeated so easily. She's a vampire sorceress. It's not going to be that easy to take her out. But after that event, Harry demands to know the truth of Ebenezer's past and why Kincaid referred to him as Blackstaff. And he admits to being a former assassin for the White Council. That's what the Blackstaff was. It was an assassin. He was able to use their power outside of, being checked just as long as the council deemed it necessary. And he reveals that he agreed to take Harry in as a young mind to keep an eye on him and kill him if he was too rebellious. Not just because, the kindness of his heart. But that, he grew fond of Harry. He defied the council and decided to train him again. And that's kind of what got him on the outs with the council. So it's one of those things that's like, ouch, but it's also like, oh, because he could have just done his duty or whatever, but he fell in love with Harry, because Harry's lovable. At least I think Harry's lovable. But I don't feel like you're reading this far into the books if Harry's lovable. I see all these complaints about it. I talk about this every review, everything I read, because, everything's problematic in 2020 or whatever. Again, I think Harry's a very likable character. I don't have all the problems everyone else does with him. I wouldn't be reading this series from his point of view if I didn't think he was a likable character. There, okay, that obligation has been thrown in there. But he also tells Harry that he is the one who trained Harry's mother, and that Lord Wraith was responsible for her death. He used an entropy curse to kill her the night that Harry was born. And oh yeah, by the way, Kincaid, he used to be known as the Hellhound. He's a scion, and he used to be an assassin for Vlad Dracul, which, if you don't know your lore, that is Lord Dracula's father. So, wow, okay. I knew that there was more to Kincaid, but man, that's deep. The Hellhound? Okay. All right, so, before we get to the final confrontation with Lord Wraith, it's revealed that Thomas, that he was taken... he was taken away, and Justine is actually still alive. And Justine, she's linked with him, so she's able to tell them where he is, so they're able to find out where, the whole deal is for the final fight. And in this final fight, Wraith tries to summon a demon that is called He Who Walks Behind. And the Stephen King fan of me automatically is like in Children of the Corn, He Who Walks Behind the Rose? Not quite, but I don't think Jim Butcher wasn't a Stephen King fan. I don't know that, honestly. I don't know. I guess I just assumed everyone from my generation, which Butcher is just a few years older than me, everyone read Stephen King growing up. But that's automatically what I thought of, He Who Walks Behind the Rose. But apparently this is the demon that Justin sent after Harry years ago, but they're able to stop him before he's fully there, because Laura makes a power play and basically decides to overthrow her father and take his place, make him, make him a puppet after he's weakened so much from the fight with Harry. But yeah, make him a puppet, pull the strings from behind the scenes. But so no one is suspicious about this. She has to banish Thomas and basically take all of his titles and land from him. So he is just got like the clothes on his back and the money that he's got in his bank account, which Kincaid actually was gave Harry like a certain number of days to pay him what he owed him for the shop, or no hard feelings, he just have to kill him. And Harry doesn't have the money to pay him. Harry calls him and tries to buy more time, basically, and he's like, "Oh, I got the money. Don't worry about it." And it's like, "What?" And you find out that Thomas basically spent every last cent he had to pay the job off for Harry, and he decides to move in with Harry. They're going to be roommates now. So that's interesting. He moves Harry into his apartment. We're going to have a buddy cop thing, and he decides to keep the puppy that he pretended that he wants to get rid of the whole book, and decides to name him Mouse. And now I've actually had people be like, "Have you got to Mouse yet?" So now I know I've got to Mouse, and I am here for the Mouse and Mr. spinoff. I would definitely watch that, especially if one of them is possessed by Bob. That would be a lot of fun. So I'm a dog person, so I'm happy to see a dog move in here with Harry. I think it could be a lot of fun. As far as this book goes, I know this is probably a little shorter than most of my Dresden reviews because, like I said, I kind of cut out the case because it didn't do much for me. It did do much for me, but these moments that I mentioned all did really good stuff for me. The case with the 3 ex-wives and all that, it didn't grab me like whatsoever, so that's why I'm barely even talking about it. If any of those characters come back later, might end up biting me in the butt. I don't know. If it happens, I'll talk about them then. But I don't know. I feel like it dragged the story down. I didn't want to drag this review down, so I didn't really talk about it. But again, I think this is probably my least favorite book behind Full Moon. Just ahead of Full Moon. Again, like I've said though, none of the books in these series have been bad. I thought Full Moon was fine. It's just you had a lot to play against here. I feel like they've gotten consistently better. Grave Peril was my favorite. Death Masks knocked it off. Summer Night, I'm liking a little more in hindsight. When it first happened, I thought it was way too much of the Fae Courts, which I'm just not nuts about, which I know play a bigger part in this series, so I got to learn to love it. But everyone tells me, Mike, you're such a big Buffy, such a big Angel fan, that you're going to love Deadbeat, because it is a very Buffy-style storyline. Okay, great. The only reason I've had to put it on pause is, guys, because if you don't know, I'm going to JordanCon, and I'm trying to rush and finish the last few books of Wheel of Time before I go there, because I don't want to spend a year in that universe and then have it spoiled for me because of somebody doing a cosplay at JordanCon or something. So I definitely wanted to try to buckle up and finish that but then I'll get right back on Dresden Files. And from what I understand, this was the best place to take a pause. So it's just a month. It's just a month hiatus, and I'll get right back on Deadbeat, because everybody says once you get to Deadbeat, series is like a freight train. And like I said, I've had a great time with all of them so far. I know it sounds like I'm being kind of negative on this. I was bound to not like one of the cases in these eventually. That's fine. That's fine. I mean, I wasn't nuts about the case in Full Moon either, but I like the alphas. I wasn't nuts about this case, but I love the stuff about the vampire courts. Vampire courts, fake courts, you know? That's kind of where I am. Porn movie, yeah. Detective case, nah, didn't really do much for me. So that's where I am at with this. If I'm ranking the series, like I said, still got Death Mask at the top, Grey Peril right behind it. Then we would do Summer Night. Then we would do Stormfront. Then I would go Full Moon, or I'm sorry, this one, and then Full Moon. That's where I would be at. But again, all of them are highly, highly readable. I'm liking them quite a bit, and I'm glad that I got my my Thomas backstory, and it didn't suck. You know, it was good. It was good. Like I said, the best moments were with Harry and his mom. Getting to see those things, that's a moment I felt like was just a really good payoff, and I'm ready to see more. I'm ready to see more of Thomas in this series. I know I get all emo when Michael isn't in the story, but I know he's not going to show up every book. But I hope that the Carpenters are back for Deadbeat, because I did miss them a little bit here. But I'm glad that I finally got to know more about the Wraith family, their history, and really just more about the White Court. That was probably the best stuff for me. So, guys, what did you think about this book? You good with it? Did you like it? If you didn't like it, whatever, hey, drop in the comments. Let's talk about where you would probably put this in the series, where you'd rank it, what was your reaction with the whole reveal about Thomas and Harry being related? Because I loved it. I was good with it. Like I said, it seems like a lot of these fantasy books, you always go, oh, hey, you know, Luke, I am your father kind of thing, and it never really lands. I felt like this one landed pretty good, and I actually didn't see it coming. So that's where I'm at, guys. Drop in the comments, and I will talk to you there.